How we going, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin, and welcome to day number 3 of our Samurai season. And we are carrying on with the Akira Kurosawa collection, and we are doing on film number 3. And I've just finished watching The Hidden Fortress, and yeah, we're carrying on basically. Uh, Very good film, very different to all three films now have been very different in terms of tone. I think this one adds a bit more comedy to the proceedings, although Seven Samurai had its fair share of comedy, but I think it was more in Seven Samurai it was a bit of a pressure relief, while this one it was a bit more throughout the whole film, and it's a bit more at the forefront. And before I carry on, though, I kicked myself yesterday when I was uploading Throne of Blood. I meant to talk about the climax of the film and felt myself building up to it and then just completely forgot. And then I was uploading the video. I was like, you forgot to talk about the end. What an idiot. And I thought, well, you either re-record the whole thing again or you just record that separate and then meld the two videos together. And I've done that before in the past, and it's a pain. So I just thought, well, I'm doing it every day now for the next couple of weeks, so I'll just talk about it now. So yeah, Throne of Blood. It is a really good climax, and basically the main character is met with a wave of arrows, and everywhere he runs, there's just arrows hitting all directions. Bit by bit, one gets him, then another one, and then there's those classic shots where he's up against the wall and there's arrows there, and you Google Throne of Blood and that's the main image that you see, and then that final one through the neck, brilliant. That was it, really. Yeah. So normally with Macbeth gets challenged to a duel and the guy cuts his head off, but I thought it was quite good that he met his death through this. He's trying to escape, but there is no escape, basically, is what I was getting at. So, yeah, let's get on to the Hidden Fortress. Well, Hidden Fortress, unfortunately, like a great artist that another artist would go on to cover their song, and then that version of a song is bigger than the original, and then they just kind of... They wrote the original version of that big song that you know, sort of, The Hidden Fortress will basically go down in history as the film that influenced Star Wars, basically. If Star Wars, I mean, it's loose, it's the basic plot, and that's pretty much it. Basically, two vagabonds help a princess get to her home, basically. But yeah, it's kind of like if Star Wars was completely told from the perspective of C3PO and R2D2. Like if they were, I mean, they kind of are the main character, but they're not, are they? Is it R2D2 or C3PO? I can't remember which one. The butler one. No, they're both in all of the films, aren't they? More or less, yeah. But they're the only ones that are actually in all of them. So basically, you've got these two guys. It starts off in a kind of like a desert wasteland, just like the beginning of Star Wars, and with the two androids arguing. Well, these two guys are arguing, and they tell the story. They're basically just a couple of ragtag wrong'uns that are looking to rather than just earn a living an honourable way or do something for the sake of doing it because it's worth doing. They just cynically they do things thinking it's going to make them a fortune, and they think everything's a bit of a get rich quick scheme when they're earning a fortune, but they're not interested in doing it honourably, shall we say. So so in this argument you hear that they sell their homes and sell everything to buy weapons in order to fight in the war, but do they end up losing the war? When you're reading the subtitles, it is a bit... I can't remember if they actually lose the war or they end up stranded from the war and they get mistaken. Yes, right. They get mistaken for the losing soldiers in the losing side of the war and end up forced to dig graves. And then once they're finished digging the graves, they just get discarded. And they're basically just left with nothing. But then they end up discovering some gold, and then they end up joining with our friend Toshiro Mifune, I think it is. He's back in it as the hero, really. And it's funny because he's the hero, but he's in the background, if you know what I mean. It's the two scallywags that are the main characters. And he is from the losing side of the war. And he has a princess with him, Princess Leia. And they need to get through enemy territory to get back to their homeland so they can then rebuild. So he doesn't let on to these people who he is. He thinks he's just a vagabond. They think he's a vagabond, and she is a deaf, dumb prince. Well, not just a deaf and dumb woman. And the princess that she actually is, someone else posed as her and died in her place, which she is not happy about. We'll get onto her character in a minute. And so they are going through enemy territory in disguise, basically, with these two fools being their escort, basically. And they've got a load of gold hidden as well in their... they got a load of gold hidden in hollow sticks. And, yeah, so they're escorting a load of gold in as well. So the princess, who is played by the very beautiful Misa Yuhara, I think I've pronounced that. I hope I've pronounced that right. And she plays Princess Yuki. And it's her story as well, really, because she is a princess who's had to disguise herself as a peasant, and she's going through peasant lands and is seeing the world from a peasant's point of view. So it's sort of like a Prince of the Pauper kind of, roles reversed. She's low born, and she lives as low born, but she does care about her people, and I know that's really a crazy concept in 2025 that a monarch is actually meant to love and care for their people, and rather than sitting on a throne living in luxury, that throne actually comes with a heavy burden of responsibility. And your legacy will live on forever, And so she's got a great dynamic as well. There's a prostitute that comes into it. She joins the band for a little bit. I could have done a bit more with that character, I suppose, because she is sort of in and out, but she ends up sacrificing herself, which is a really good dynamic in the film. And it's basically this odyssey as they go through... trying to get to their home, with a lot of comedy and a lot of stuff that goes wrong, and a load of ideas that fall apart, and ups and downs of a journey that you would get with a journey narrative. There's a good part as well where Toshiro Mifune's character, I'll be honest, I can't quite remember what happened because I only just watched it, but he ends up being challenged, and they have a fight, but they don't have a samurai fight. It's like with these two spears. And he wins it, and he's let go. But they come across the character that he fights later on. He's got this massive, nasty scar across his face. And it's revealed that that's the result of a beating he got for letting him go. But that guy joins them eventually anyway. There's a cool bit in the middle of the film, actually, where they come across... what is it? Like a ritual where they're dancing around a fire, and it's all choreographed and all done, and it's like a Japanese, like it's all percussion and dun, 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 and then they're singing along and they're chanting along, and they kind of go along with it to blend in, but they've got this barrel full of wood with gold hidden inside it, and they're throwing stuff onto the fire, and it's like a the philosophy behind it is that life is fleeting, life is over quickly, and it's, you know, building up, holding on to material things is kind of futile in such a short life. It's not what's really important. And this has a profound effect on the princess also. But in order to do it, they have to throw this wood with gold encased in it on the fire, and they're all like looking at each other thinking, shit. And then they go, but the set piece is brilliant, and obviously Akira Kurosawa's whole, you know, body of work has gone down in history of how brilliantly it's filmed, and it's how much influence it's had on Western directors later on. I mean, these 5 films alone in this box set, you know, Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven, Throne of Blood, well, Macbeth, but an adaptation of Macbeth, but, you know, Hidden Fortress obviously goes on to influence Star Wars, and Yojimbo goes on to influence Fistful of Dollars, which then would go on to influence countless Western films. The Dollars trilogy kind of set a new standard, really. If John Wayne was the Black Sabbath of Westerns, then the spaghetti Westerns were when Metallica came along, shall we say. And I'd get a metal analogy in there somewhere, folks. This is a music channel, don't forget. But yeah, it's beautifully filmed, and yeah, the you know, fighting scenes aren't quite as epic and sort of thingy as Seven Samurai or Throne of Blood. I think we've got more elaborate fighting scenes coming up in the future films, but again, there's a bit more to it in the whole samurai mythos. Bit of social commentary, I suppose, but there's social commentary in Seven Samurai as well, really, with the different caste systems, and I don't suppose there's social commentary in Throne of Blood. It's more philosophical about, you know, how ambition can power, you know, we all know power corrupts. What was I saying? Power corrupts, but corrupts absolutely. I forget how it goes. But, you know, Throne of Blood is more about ambition and abandoning morality for ambition is only going to lead you, you know, to ruin. But, so I suppose I better go to the ending. So eventually they get home, they get back, and then it's, you know, the two, Tahe and Matachichi. That's the characters' names. I probably should have told you that. So Tahe and Matachichi, C-3PO and R2-D2 are based on them, basically. And they get brought before this princess and a samurai warrior, or 2 samurai warriors, and the princess at the end reveals herself. She's like, look, it's me. I wasn't mute. I wasn't, you know, you helped me. You and, you know, da-da-da. And they're congratulated, and it's great. And they say, right, unfortunately, we know we said we'd split the gold with you evenly, but this gold is needed to rebuild the kingdom, basically. So thank you for your service. However, here is a gold bar, whatever currency they use, and you can share that. And the film ends with them walking down the stairs, and it's kind of it's left for you to decide, really. Have they learnt from this all? Have they grown, or are they just still the same scallywags that they've always been? Because rather than fight over the coin, he goes, "Oh, go on, just have it." And he goes, "No, you have it." And then, "No, you have it." And then is this a sarcasm, or is this just a bit of a humour between them, or are they genuinely trying to be generous? Who knows? But I'd like to think they've not really learnt their lessons. And if there was a sequel or a spin-off, it'd be the antics of Tahe and Matachichi. And I did have to practice those before I started recording. It'd be like the adventures of them, and it'd be like a kind of only fools and horses get rich quick scheme that just blows up in their faces time and time again. Something like that maybe. But as always, very enjoyable, and you know, it's I'm enjoying this this series. I'm going to start reading the Hagakure tomorrow, and I think I might start reading a bit of Masushi as well. I'm going to try and. It seems like it's a very thick book, but it seems like the chapters are quite short, so I might be able to slowly chip away at that one while sort of diving through Hagakure. But I don't want to rush it. I want to sort of absorb it. But I have got some night shifts coming up, and when I'm on nights, I don't have a lot of time during the day, and I'm basically not going to have time to watch films. I'm going to try, but I know I'm not going to be able to. So hopefully on the days when I'm not going to be able to watch films, hopefully then I can fill that with a book review. That's my plan going forward. But yeah, that's it. Hidden Fortress. If you're a Star Wars fan, you owe it to yourself to watch it. But try not to let the Star Wars thing overshadow it. It's a very good film on its own. It's very good set pieces. The nice musical ritual bit in the middle was pretty good. And I like the comedy relief as well. It's a bit of a fool's gold odyssey with a bit of a princess and pauper story going on as well. Again, you know, Misa Yuhara is fantastic as Princess Yuki, and Princess Yuki is a brilliant character and a powerful character. And these Marvel morons that think they're achieving something with films like Captain Marvel, strong feminine characters. Well, no, they were already there, folks. They were already there in the 50s. You know, good writing was always there. You're just shit, basically. But yeah, apart from that, Yojimbo tomorrow. And yeah, join me on this quest, this mountain I've decided to climb, this journey through the samurai. And as always, if there is films that you think can be added to this, please let me know, and I will add it to them, and the season will just continue. It's fine. I encourage it. I want it to. Yeah, I'm happy for this to go on because I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, I think I'm, you know, scraping the surface with this, but I want a few more obscure ones as well. I want a couple of second tier ones, as you know. So let me know. And yeah, what do you? Have you seen these films? Do you own this box set? What do you think of these as well? And give me a bit of some trivia and some pointers, because as I said in the last video or two, like I'm learning as I'm going here. I'm going in blind. So yeah. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll catch you later, folks. Take care. All the best.